a major V1 rocket site. It was their assembly site. They were getting ready, building the V1 rockets that were targeting London. He took off late August 3rd, early August 4th. He was part of a Bomber Command Pathfinder crew, and of course, those guys were the folks who were very skilled, hand-picked. They were the top of the class as far as pilots, navigators, flight crew, and their job was to fly in over the target before the main bomber stream, mark the target with flares so that the main bomber force, as it was coming in, would be able to identify where they needed to drop their bombs. If the Pathfinders were unsuccessful, the bombing raid could be forfeit or wind up bombing the wrong target. Troche St. Maximum had been targeted a number of times ahead of time, and so it was heavily fortified. Anti-aircraft gun, radar installations. It was a very difficult target to hit. As squadron leader Ian was flying, known as Will to his crew, into target, the master bomber was shot down. The deputy master bomber was shot down. At this point in time, I'm sure if I was in Will's shoes, I would be determined to press on regardless and mark the target. As Will was flying into the target, his aircraft came under anti-aircraft fire. He lost engine number 4, which is as you're facing the Lancaster furthest to the left. He lost engine number 3. So now we only had 2 engines running. His aircraft was set on fire. Pressing on regardless, Ian managed to mark the target so that the approaching bomber crews, the approaching bomber fleet, would be able to successfully destroy Troche St. Maxim. Unfortunately, with Ian's aircraft fully engulfed in flames, his bomb aimer and mid-upper gunner were overcome by fumes or hit by the shrapnel. On Ian's trip out of France, trying to make it back to England, he lost engine number 2. Now flying on one engine, and if you look at the Lancaster, the engine that was running is the one that is furthest to your right. He knew that reaching England was an impossibility. The best that he could hope for would be to have his crew bail out and evade capture. With one engine, the Lancaster flies like a brick. He was now in a controlled glide. He could no longer gain altitude, and with only one engine, he could make very wide sweeping turns, and that was about it. Steadily losing altitude, and remember, his aircraft has now been burning for 15 to 20 minutes. He realizes that he's got 2 wounded crew members who cannot bail out of the aircraft. He orders his crew to bail out. He is maybe 300-400 feet above the ground. They take their parachutes, toss them into the slipstream, and jump out of the aircraft. Talking to his crew members who survived, they were here early in 1990, they were seconds before they were on the ground. They were that low. Doug Cameron hurt his back in the fall and would suffer from back injuries the rest of his life. Ian did not leave the aircraft. Ian had 2 of his crew members who he felt responsible for in the airplane that could not leave. He attempted to land the airplane. He was flying over the town of Nanton, northern France. Lost control of the airplane, managed to regain it, narrowly missing the church of the town. He saw a field to the north of town, and attempted to bring the aircraft down, making wide left or right-hand turns to get over to the field. He attempted to land the aircraft, and upon landing, the aircraft exploded, killing all crew members, including Will. In England, when this happened, August 4th, 1944, no one knew what Ian had attempted to do. No one knew that Ian had elected to stay with the aircraft and his wounded comrades to try and get them down. When his crew members who did escape and evade made it back to England, they told Bomber Command of what happened to Ian and how he had given his life to try and save the crew, his friends, those people who he was responsible for. He is now buried in the town of Nanton, Will is, along with his two crew members. And now, we're going to see the aircraft start up, and remember, it is going to taxi forward towards us. At the end of the run, they are going to shut down all three engines except for engine number 1. And this will be our last tribute to Ian this year, commemorating the engine configuration he was forced to fly with as he attempted to land his crippled Lancaster. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. FM 159 moving under her own power for the first time publicly in 59 years. And of course, this flight that Ian Willoughby Bazalgette was on, his last flight, earned him the Victoria Cross posthumously. He was the only Albertan to receive the Victoria Cross. Will was born in Calgary, and his family later moved to England. He had joined the Royal Air Force. He had completed his first tour. The odds of completing your first tour was about 20%.